Ma'am, again, I would like to give the credits to Sushil sir. So he said you have to write tests, read the answers. We will give you the questions, we will give you the answers, and you write the tests, and don't worry about it. And attend the live classes. So that was really helpful. But it can be a mentor also. For me, it was Sushil sir also. I was constantly in touch with him, especially the last after the last year's attempt. So he also motivated me and guided me. This is what you're supposed to do, and I was blindly have faith on him. He said, "You are supposed to do this. I will do that only, nothing else." Ma'am, honestly speaking, I followed the iExamB course throughout. I used the BPDA,
Right.
and I used for around 5 months of compilation. And with the closer the month is to the examination date, the more importance I gave it to that. Ma'am, for finance, I stick to the notes that were given in the course. And for management, I started preparing for 21st September. 20th September results were out, and Sushil sir always said it's not a big deal, and that's true. Within 15 days, I have completed that 150 pages compilation twice.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to iExamB. And today we are talking with Perth Sierra, who has cleared RBI Grade B 2024. And a very interesting journey. It will interest a lot of you. You will be able to associate, with a lot of aspirants with his background and journey so far of reaching RBI. So, looking forward to this conversation. Thanks, Perth, for taking out time. And first of all, many, many congratulations for making it to the final list this year.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And it's my pleasure to be here.
Thank you, Perth. So it's been a long journey for Perth, and let's hear it from him only. So Perth, you did your graduation in 2019,
Yes, ma'am.
and he's done his engineering from IIT Roorkee. So, after your education, why don't you tell what motivated you to start preparing for the government exams and how your journey has been like?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, my late father and my mother both are government servants. So I have lived in that kind of environment where I got an opportunity to interact with civil servants, and that kind of lifestyle and the kind of work they do has
Mhm.
always inspired me. And from the college itself, I was a little bit focused on these aspects, and I've decided that I can give 2 or 3 attempts for civil services. So from the just after graduating, I decided to go for civil services, and after not making it to the finalists, so I decided after 2022. I decided it's time to pivot on to different examinations, and I came to regulatory bodies examination, and I decided to go for regulatory body examinations. And
Yeah.
technically, this is my fourth attempt for the Reserve Bank of India,
Okay.
and in 2023 attempt I gave the interview but could not make it to the finalist, and this year 2024 I am luckily finally made it to the finalist.
Yes. So a very, very long journey
Yes, ma'am.
for you. And I think there must have been some motivation, inspiration. One, of course, you said your family inspired you to always be in this area of work, and that was a constant motivation. But it's not easy, you know.
Yes,
Consistent. We definitely talk about so much that consistency is very, very important. Perseverance is very, very important.
ma'am.
Takes you. It definitely does, but the journey is not smooth, I'm sure. You
And
must
it
have
is.
had your ups and downs and demotivation phases, motivational phases. So, what I'll ask you first before we delve into, the strategies of preparation, how did you stay at it? How did you ensure that consistency? What kept you motivated all this while?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, starting from 2019, the year I graduated, so first 1 or 2 years I was covering the syllabus, so it was quite exciting about the syllabus and reading so much. So it was quite exciting, and I've been that kind of person who likes to read a lot and
Okay.
different topics. So that was motivating, but after a point of time, it starts to get to you that you should get a job and try to focus on initially on getting a job. So
Mhm.
after that, I started to follow Sushil sir, and that motivated me to get into regulatory bodies examination. And I got in contact with one of the officers who was selected in 2021 itself. So he also told me that what kind of work that they do, what kind of opportunities they have, what kind of lifestyle they have. So that also motivated me to get into there. And ma'am, with respect to the long journey and ups and downs, everybody has that. Even the people who are working in the different kind of jobs, they also have that. Aspirants also have that. Once you make it to the
Right.
organization, they also have that. So it's a part and parcel of life, and the sooner we learn how to deal with it, the better it is. And I've been quite grateful and quite lucky to have a good set of parents, and especially my mother and my brother, and the blessings of my late father, and a great set of good friends who have always motivated me to give one more attempt, just one more attempt, because they always believed in me, and they said, if we believe, why don't you believe in yourself? And especially after this year's the receipts were less than one third, and
Yes.
they told me, why are you worrying about it? You need only one seat, don't worry about it, you'll go through, don't worry about it. So that kind of motivation definitely helped me. And uh, I'll- and a slight detachment from the result, if you can do that, it can be very helpful. If you can focus on 3 4 examinations, probably you will get through one of them, rather than focusing on just only a single exam.
Yeah. So, what I'm taking from this part, what I'm understanding is it's very, very important. Of course, no matter what situation we are in, ups and downs will always come. So, a very strong support system that we can create around ourselves with family and friends, and the positivity around it, uh,
Positivity.
helps us get through. And that
It can, ma'am, sorry to interrupt, but it can be a mentor also. For me, it was Sushil sir also. I was constantly in touch with him, especially the last after the last year's attempt. So he also motivated me and guided me. This is what you're supposed to do, and I was blindly have faith on him. He said, "You are supposed to do this. I will do that only, nothing else." So that also helps you.
That's very true, right? So, having the right mentor is very, very important because many times when we are studying, we only focus on the content aspect. It
Content.
has to be a good combination of the content and the mentor, because mentor is it basically helps you to guide through how to use that as per to your strengths and weakness, and not get lost in the sea of information and content that's so
So,
easily available. And with ChatGPT coming in, it's on your fingertips uh,
yes, ma'am.
now. So it's very, very important that ways that you get the right kind of guidance and support system.
Exactly.
But you mentioned in the beginning that, after a few attempts at civil services, first you thought that maybe getting a
Mm.
job and starting would be important. But then why didn't you take up a job, or why didn't you think of working and then preparing?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, initially I was focused on UPSC civil services, and my parents were uh, saying that it's not the money is not an issue. If you want to work, then you can definitely work, but you should be assured that you want to like leave the this competition examination phase. Then only you should move, and this is one thing that I would ask my future the fellow aspirants, that you should try to get a job. If you want to give a attempt seriously, you can give 1 or 2 attempts. Then you should try to uh, take a job in one of the examination which has similar pattern, such as SBI, IBPS, RRBs. You should try to get a job, and simultaneously you can prepare, because if you're prepared for 1 year or 2 years sincerely, then you can just putting in extra efforts on the weekend, and doing 2 to 3 hours study on weekdays, which is manageable in a lot of jobs. You can definitely manage to uh, get into the RBI or other regulatory body examination. So this is one mistake that I do not want others to follow. And if I were to meet my younger self, I would definitely give this advice to myself.
That's nice of you, but to say it out loudly, because the right kind of steps that we can take at the right time, and we can realize it and help others take the right decision.
Definitely.
It's very, very helpful. So thank you for saying that out.
One more thing, ma'am. I did not enroll in any higher education. So if
Hmm.
people can get enrolled in themselves, like SIDB grade A was out, but the uh, eligibility was
Yes.
MBA finance and or experienced
Hmm.
people. So I was not qualified. I was not eligible for that. So what are the patterns going to be in the upcoming years? We do not know.
We don't.
It's a lot better. You either you upgrade yourself or you get a job so that you have experience.
That's very good advice, and I think Sushil sir also keeps telling this in a lot of if all
Yes,
the
ma'am.
others are also following him. So in a lot of videos, informational videos, motivational videos that he keeps talking about career
Mhm.
related. He also stresses on the importance of upskilling yourself in some form or the other. It could be through adding,
Yes,
qualifications,
ma'am.
even certifications nowadays.
Certifications.
Certifications are also accepted. Say, for example, when risk officers certifications are asked, they easily accept, and many of them even specify that you should have done
Yes, ma'am.
certification related to foreign exchange and all. Right, so certifications are important. um, and even taking the job, because that also helps enhance your on job training and not just theoretical training. So whatever you can do, always keep
You
adding.
should you should
uh,
try to get it.
yes, so one should try to keep adding to their resume, to their profile. So great advice, but now jumping into the preparation per se, because you've given 4 attempts, was it different every time, the approach for the phase one? And from all these attempts, what has been your learning about what could be the best way to be preparing for phase one?
So my first attempt was in 2021, and that year I prepared. I was not very well prepared, but I just saw the previous year questions, and but that year the level of questions for quant was quite high as
Mhm.
compared to the previous years. So I
Mhm.
was quite shocked, and I did not have any kind of strategy for reasoning, and I got stuck in the puzzle. And I remember I spent almost 15 to 20 minutes in just one puzzle, and now out of 45 minutes, 20 minutes are gone. I have not attempted any single questions. So I learned from that mistake, and next year I gave mains, but that year I was not preparing for RBI. I was focusing on ECGCPO.
Okay.
So coincidentally ECGCPO I could not clear, but I I was able to write mains. So since I got an experience of writing the mains, so I uh, went there and I saw how much marks I got without zero preparation. What are the marking schemes? How many words I can type? And next year I tried to use that and made it to the interview, but not able to clear. And finally, this year, after all that knowledge combined, I was able to make it to the final list.
Great. So in phase one, particularly like you said, quant in one of the
Yes,
years
ma'am.
became difficult. And in general, since then, quant has been moderately difficult on a
Difficult.
higher
Yes,
side, I
ma'am.
can say. Right? Not that the cutoff is very high, but it still becomes difficult for people to cross that
Attempt.
cutoff
Yes, ma'am.
of, 3, 4 marks also.
Exactly, ma'am.
So, any suggestions in terms of how quant or reasoning specifically, which could be time consuming and a game
Mhm.
changer for your phase one
Yes, ma'am.
hearing? What things can maybe a future aspirant keep in mind while they're preparing for these subjects?
Surely, ma'am. Ma'am, one of the things that since I come from a science maths background, I'm from engineering, so I was relatively comfortable with quant and reasoning.
Mhm.
But again, I thought that it's not because this year the seats are less, so cutoff can be high, and it went definitely went high. So I did not left anything to chance and covered each and every topic from even the probability mensuration, which is usually left out by the children aspirants. So I decided to cover each and every topic and gave the mocks and covered saw which particular topics I'm able to do or not able to do, and accordingly analyzed it. And in the mocks I was getting around 8 to 10 marks, and eventually in the real examination I was able to attempt 4 or 5 questions, and due to normalization it went too high. I cannot recall the exact score. So it is difficult because one or two questions you are, if you are stuck, then
The
you might
time. Yeah.
the pressure comes upon. And a lot of people, what happens if they are able to attempt only three questions, so they might they will get only 3 marks. The cutoff last year was 4.5, so I was not able to clear, so they ruin their reasoning examination also, which is in the next section.
Next section,
So
right.
you should not do that. You should be focused on clearing the, if it is difficult for you, it is difficult for everybody.
Hmm.
So you should be calmness and quick decision making, what questions to attempt and what questions to leave. This will be learned only through the mocks that you will give over a period of time.
So
And
you
you
were
have to analyze,
constantly, you were
analyze also.
yeah, sorry. So you were constantly giving mocks throughout?
Ma'am, I gave around 15 to 18 mocks, somewhere in these range, and I analyzed it. So, I will use a certain strategy in 2 3 mocks and analyze whether my score is increasing or decreasing, and
Mhm.
again a different strategy. And by the time I've attempted 15 tests, so I'm quite comfortable. Like this is things something which will work for me in quant, in reasoning. This will work for me, and this will work for me in English and GA.
So in quant and reasoning, basically practice and analysis of that helps, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I think that's important. That's why, you know, we also encourage and provide a lot of practice in the course also, so many, I think around 20 mock tests for the phase one
Yes, ma'am.
itself.
Phase one, it's 20 mock tests.
Yes. And sectional also we keep giving so that you can keep practicing throughout. That's important because that helps you to get that speed and accuracy.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
as you
And
mentioned, if one or two questions in continuation get incorrect, sometimes then it starts playing on your mind.
yes, ma'am. Time
And
pressure comes up.
then that pressure can, impact your further uh,
Next section
next
also.
section. True, true. So that's very
Yes.
important that we continuously keep giving mocks to prepare ourselves for different
Right.
eventualities. Uh, Another section I'll talk about in phase one is GA. It has the highest weightage. While it can be straightforward, many times it can be tricky also because there's so much factual information to be remembered. And a few years we've seen in the past, the questions have been a little longish, statement based also,
Yes,
which
ma'am.
have consumed a little more time as compared to what it would have been in earlier years and, single liners and all. So, any particular strategy you would say for
Mhm.
being able to handle the GA portion?
Ma'am, honestly speaking, I followed the iExamB course throughout, and I used the Bpedia,
Right.
and I used for around 5 months of compilation. And
Mhm.
with the closer the month is to the examination date, the more importance I gave it to that. And along with that, schemes, economic survey, budget, and annual report, reports and indices, notifications, PIB compilations, because if I clear phase one, then they will be important in phase two also. So I ensure that I am preparing phase one also, in a phase one GA in a very good manner, and phase two GA also in a very good manner. And ma'am, I stuck to the compilation, read it over and over and again, did not move to 3 4 resources, gave the mocks, and revised the mocks also, analyzed the mocks and some important questions. And it's not necessary that if a question is lengthy you have to read each and every word. You can just pick the keywords, what are the keywords, and you can analyze what is the question is about. You have to be careful sometimes which of the statement is true, which of the statement is
Word.
not true. You
True.
get confused because you might have skipped that word. So you be a little bit careful about that. And ma'am, for me, last year also, this year also, within 20 minutes I was able to finish all the 80
All the
questions.
80 questions.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. Then I came back again to questions which were a little bit confusing. So it's
Mhm.
probably because I've revised them a lot. So I know I have not read this topic, so I have to leave it. And since I've read it, so I can attempt it. And if I'm quite confident, I will quickly mark within 10 to 12 seconds and move ahead. And one thing is that a lot of people do not is not able to attempt see all the 80 questions.
Hmm.
So a lot of time it's possible that last 10 questions you were knowing and you could have attempted 7 or 8 questions, but since you are not able to make it to that, so you are left out, and you probably could not make it to the cutoff, because 80 marks, and if you can get to 35, you are almost halfway through the cutoff.
Right, right, right. So, very good points actually, but so one definitely it has the highest weightage, GA.
weightage,
So,
40%.
people do tend to give it more time and more effort is given to GA for sure. But another very important point that you highlighted, which is true also, that it is so much going to be useful for you in your phase two. All the government schemes you are reading because your ESI
Economic
paper
survey,
is, kind of maturity part of it is uh,
current affairs related
schemes and current affairs and reports based.
reports.
So you can do so much more
Mm,
confidently in your ESI paper,
exactly.
especially the objective aspect if you've done your GA well. And that's true that in our course, we give all types of compilations, right from Bpedia, which is the current affairs, and the daily compilation of all the news from all the top financial newspapers and the top websites that publish the information from related to economy, finance, banking, and all. We do have the PIB compilation on a weekly basis. We provide a lot of practice questions on a weekly basis for you to practice
Exactly, ma'am.
in and
There
out.
was a 1,000 MCQs compilation
Yes,
also.
yes, so we had given those also for practice. So there is enough to practice, and the key word here is the repetition, the revision of.
Revision.
So I think that's commendable that you completed all 80 questions in 20 minutes. And
Yes, ma'am.
I guess that comes with this only. The more you revise, the easily you are able to recall and, click it as quickly as possible, reconnect with the question and move ahead fast. So
Exactly,
uh,
ma'am.
never, never. I think I repeat this in so many conversations. Never underestimate the power that you will get by revising what you know rather than trying to add new knowledge last minute before the
Yes,
exam.
because at the end you will not be able to recall anything.
Yes, yes. And recall will have a lot of value in this your phase one specifically. Of course, it will help throughout.
Exactly.
Okay. So phase two, if we talk about ESI, I can understand already from your answers that you were already preparing a lot, giving a lot of time to the GE aspect. Even your background for UPSC preparation would have helped. What if I talk about a little more in detail about the finance management and ethics paper? Uh,
Yes,
uh,
surely, ma'am.
so, how was your approach for that? Because a lot of finance subjects could have been a little newer for you. And then, studying management and ethics, how were you balancing? Because to some extent, these subjects are not really related to each other, but they come as one paper. So, you prepare
Exactly.
them together. So, how are you managing your finance and management and ethics preparation?
Ma'am, for finance, I stick to the notes that were given in the course. And for management, I started preparing for 21st September. 20th September results were out. And Sushil sir always said it's not a big deal. And that's true. Within 15 days, I have completed that 150 pages compilation twice. And I given test also. And so the test that I have given helped me in memorizing the management facts and the kind of questions which were expected in the examination or have been in the examination. So, and management seems very tough, but it is relatively easier part. But a lot of people who are not from this particular background find it's very difficult. But it's theoretical, you can learn, and it's interesting to read also the kind of theories, what have how we have evolved. So it's interesting. And ma'am, finance, I stuck to the notes, key terms which are written in the syllabus. I try to understand them, have some definitions, and I try to prepare 150 to 200 words on each and every term given in the syllabus, in the management section also. So
Right.
if somebody is asking me leadership, I should be ready. What kinds of leadership are there? Some recent example, Tata is an example of which kind of leadership. Ratan
Mm.
Tata, late Ratan Tata, what kind of leadership is there? Or any recent examples. And I remember, like in nudge theory, so I gave this example in either one of the mock tests that in Belgium or Netherlands, like the people are after achieving the age of 18, they are by default organ donate. They can donate organ donation, so you have to opt it out. So it's an example of nudge theory. So if a person can, while reading such concepts, you can go out and write few example, real life examples, it will definitely give a weight to your answers.
True. So that's interesting to hear because very rightly said that management feels, and in my experience of teaching management, I also come across students asking, "How do I remember? There's so much factual things. It's so
Mm,
difficult." And although we spend time in reading so much factual things, questions are not straightforward. They are not coming from the content written. But actually, that's how you're looking at it. Because as you rightly said, management, once, yes, it's theoretical. After reading the theory, all of it is common sense and relatable to everyday
exactly.
life.
Exactly.
The moment you start seeing it that way, the answers start flowing. Because,
Exactly.
yes, if even after reading those factual information, if you're looking for that exact question to come, maybe that's where you're not mentally tuning yourself for the concept and how it can be
Exactly.
asked. And through questions, through kind of case studies, we try to give that linkage between the theory and how it is used in an everyday life.
Used in
So
everyday life.
that's true. And actually, yes, within a week, you can read the entire syllabus of management, and you can read it like a book. Like you're reading some non-fictional book, and so many of
Mhm.
you will be reading non-fictional books. So it can be very easily read like that. So,
It's not very difficult. Seems very daunting because it
yes.
has. So I still struggle with respect to the uh, motivational and leadership theory. So I find it difficult. So I've written it down in the notes.
Yes.
Well, so it definitely helps you quickly revising. There will be certain sections which might seems confusing, so you can write it down. But more, I would say 80% is understandable and you can write it. So if you can arrange your thoughts, you can understand through examples. If you can understand, then it can be very good with respect to answer writing. And if you write answers in mock tests, it will definitely help you in remembering it even more.
True. Okay. So, but how was your practice for descriptive part? Because we have descriptive in all these three papers.
Exactly.
So,
The
was your
200 points.
strategy any different for the descriptive part, and how much were you practicing?
Ma'am, again, I would like to give the credits to Sushil sir. So he said you have to write tests, read the answers. We will give you the questions, we will give you the answers, and you write the tests, and don't worry about it. And attend the live classes. So that was really helpful because once I attempt, so I will think something different, and in the live classes I will discuss it with the respective faculty. I will get 2 3 new points, and eventually in the examiner. So one luck factor which actually happened, that while I was practicing at my home, so I was able to write at best 1350 words. I remember that was the highest words that I was able to write in a, that is while I am knowing the questions, I'm knowing the answers, only at comfort at my home. So I was quite nervous what will happen in the real examination. But when I went there, I was able to write 1700 plus words in both ESI and FM. The keyboard was even better, and I was in the front seat, and there was no disturbance. Computer was working fine. So there's a luck factor also. But I believe people can develop the habit of typing within even 20 days also. But again, it's slightly recommended that you have a typing speed of decent 15 to, sorry, 20 plus, in order to ensure that you are able to type.
So that practice definitely helps. And yes, as you mentioned, in the course we do that. We give you the question, give you the answer, and all the faculty, Sushil sir keeps telling this again and again.
Yes.
Even if you don't know the answer, don't worry, because many times,
हम दे
students say this also, कि sir answer ही नहीं आता तो लिखें कैसे? So that's
exactly,
why
ma'am.
we give you
This
the
happens.
answer. तुम उसको पढ़ के भी लिख दो. Why? Because even after reading, how it helps is, and Sushil sir of course explains it so well, कि आप उसको पढ़ें, the answer that we've given you, even if you read that, and after that don't look at it and write it, at least something has gone in your head and you're typing. And when you're typing, at least that time you are thinking and trying to recall. So something will go. And after that, if you then study again, it will stay also, and you will also clear a lot of your thoughts in terms of how to approach writing. So the key is to start. Let's
start.
find excuses of आंसर नहीं आता. So we try to cover all those aspects. जो भी आप बहाना लेके आएंगे हम उसको कवर
हम्म,
करके आपको दे रहे हैं, लेकिन आप लिखो.
सिलेबस कभी कंप्लीट नहीं होगा, वो चलता ही रहेगा.
सिलेबस
इट्स अ
कभी
डायनेमिक सिलेबस, इट्स अ डायनेमिक सिलेबस.
इट्स अ डायनामिक, वेरी वेरी ट्रू. आई थिंक पर बहुत
हम्म,
अच्छा आपने राइट टाइम पे बोला कि इट्स अ डायनामिक
हम्म,
सिलेबस. तो इफ यू आर थिंकिंग कि सिलेबस कंप्लीट करके आई विल गिव द
हम्म,
मॉक्स और आई विल स्टार्ट राइटिंग और आई विल स्टार्ट प्रैक्टिसिंग, दैट विल नेवर हैपन. इट्स ऑलमोस्ट लाइक ना, कल कभी नहीं आता. हिंदी में हम लोग बोलते हैं, एक
एग्जैक्टली.
कहावत रहती है कि कल कभी नहीं आता. सो दैट्स ट्रू. So very interesting. Coming to interview, Parth, because you've given two interviews, how are you, these two interviews different from each other?
Ma'am, last year when I gave the interview, so it was from the result. Uh, when the result was declared, my interview was within a month, and this time it was almost 1.5 months. So I had slightly more time, and I was slightly more prepared, and I gave the offline interview at the iExamB office in Noida. So CP Joshi sir and I'm forgetting the name of the ma'am. That was
Ira
there.
ma'am must have
Yes,
given.
ma'am. Exactly, Ira ma'am. So they took my interview and they asked me simple questions only, and they complimented me that you have very body language, good body language. You have a smile on your face. They complimented on certain parts, and they told me that since you do not have a working background, so you should focus on learning the simple banking terms, terminologies, and they will most likely ask you these things only. They will not go here and there, or probably this something that happened to me in last interview, that they asked me, but what have you read, we will ask you that only. The chairman said, now
Mhm.
it's a double-edged sword. If I say something and I'm not able to answer, it will backfire upon me. So I was quite underconfident the moment I entered, because and my body language, the way I was speaking, I was not able to make eye contact. There was one of the ma'ams, I referred to her as sir a couple of times. So these things do not reflect very
Yeah.
positively, and this shows that the person is quite nervous. And I was sweating also. I was not able to make eye contact. But this year, I ensured that I practiced in front of mirror, and I do not have that any kind of issue. My although there were certain questions which I was not able to answer here also this interview, but my body language is quite positive, and I politely said, "Sir, I'm not aware, but I will read more about it," or something on these lines. So that's ma'am. And again, this was something that was asked me. What have you read? We will ask you that only. So I
Okay.
told them I read speeches, notification, current affairs, and because I was a lot more confident this time, so they asked me that also. Some other terms also, Basel norms, banking, a couple of memory lectures,
Mhm.
something about my gap years. Why do we have so many gap years?
Right.
So we discussed that, and
So was it
MSME.
something that you were made uncomfortable about, the gap years? Because, a lot of students are worried about this if they have any gap
Mhm.
years or less experience. So if
Yes.
I may ask, were you made uncomfortable about it during the interview?
Uh, Not really, ma'am. Ma'am, one of the panel members were asking me a question, and suddenly the chairman stopped me. But you have cracked IIT JEE. It's one of the very difficult examinations, and it's been 5 years. My interview was in 2024, 31st December.
Mm.
So, so it's been 5 years. Why are you so stuck? What is happening? Why are you not able to clear? So I told them, sir, I've given a couple of examinations, so I'm either stuck in mains or I've given interviews sometimes, but overall could not make it.
Mhm.
So okay. So they just asked, what's the explanation behind why are you not able to crack any other examination? So I gave
Just
them
a
this.
matter of factly they asked,
Uh,
nothing to
exactly.
make you uncomfortable about.
No. They just me asking what is happening. Are you giving other examination or just solely focusing on one examination, or where are you stuck? Are you stuck in phase one, phase two, phase or phase three interview? That's all.
So yes, that's what happens, and why I asked a little more in detail from Perth to reconfirm that, because these questions are most to understand how your thought process has been like and how your approach is been, rather than trying to grill you over your life decisions or your journey till now. So it's more to
Exactly.
understand how you've made it and what's your thought process and how you're looking forward, what kind of
Ma'am,
personality you are. Yeah.
Parallel members in the interview, they were very cordial. If I was not able to answer, they were giving me hints. Come
Mm.
on, Perth, you have to put on your thinking hat. You know it. Come on. And I remember they asked me the five AIFIs, and I
Mm-hmm.
named four. I was not able to recall the SIDB,
Mm.
and I was struggling to recall because
Mm.
when we are reading the notes, it always comes up. But at the
Yeah,
in the
sometimes we
moment,
get stuck on the easiest of things.
and chairman said, "अरे नहीं इसको आता है. Come on, पर tell me." And eventually, after a minute or two, I recalled. So then everybody like, yeah, finally. So it happens, ma'am. So they were quite cordial. They were helpful also. It's not like they're grilling, and most of the candidates were like they are very helpful and cordial.
Yes, that's true.
They are not grilling.
Okay. So very interesting journey, Perth, a long one, but finally it you reached where you wanted to reach. So,
Yes, ma'am.
and I think it was a very interesting conversation also. We started with understanding the things that one should keep doing, how to keep yourself motivated, while it sounds nice to be a perseverance and consistent performer, or keep working towards your goal with consistency. It may not be so easy. So it was good to hear from you how you've been able to implement it.
Yes,
And amazing. Yes, so what was noticed in the interview, a smiling face, makes the conversation even more interesting. So thank you, Perth, for taking out time. I'm sure this will inspire and motivate many more aspirants,
I
and
hope
give
so.
them clarity what they want and how they should go about it. So thanks again, Perth, and wishing
Thank you,
you
ma'am.
all the best for a very, very successful career with RBI.